For many small business owners, when you mention Facebook advertising, you can usually see a deer in headlights kind of look. Sometimes we're thinking, oh, that sounds really complicated, or oh, that sounds really expensive. And then we don't do it. When in fact, a Facebook ads strategy can be one of the best implementations into your business that you can actually measure. And so I am certainly no expert in this field, but I happen to know a lovely woman who is, and she is on the episode today. I am so excited to welcome Luan Jardine as we talk about getting started with Facebook ads and more strategy. Let's hear what she has to say. Hey, I'm Angela Doyon, and this is the Creative Marketing Show, the podcast for ambitious women in business looking to cut the BS, stop dancing for likes, and learn to create honest and genuine marketing strategies that don't cause burnout and overwhelm. Think of me as one of your friends that's here to support you and cheer you on while keeping you up to date with all the latest marketing trends and inspired actions you can start to implement into your business. Let's dive into a new episode. When people think about advertising, their mind immediately goes to loss and profit. For Luan, it's so much more than that. She wants to help amplify the meaningful messages of business owners through her skill set in Facebook and Instagram advertising. It fuels her soul to work with entrepreneurs who are striving to create, change, or make people's lives better. She helps change makers reach a like-minded audience that find positive value in their business message. And she's just an absolute sweetheart. I'm so excited to chat with Luan Jardine today. And before we dive in, full disclosure, my mic wasn't hooked up to the recording method, so I apologize in advance. My audio is not as crisp as it sounds right now, but it was a wonderful interview, and I'm not going to let that stop me from sharing it, so done is better than perfect. All right, let's get to the episode.
Well, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not alone. I have an interview today, and it is with one of my favorite people on the internet, Luan Jardine. We've met basically on the internet, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Isn't that funny? I mean, we've never met in person. We've had lots of conversations on our previous podcast, and then certainly a lot of back and forth in the DMs, which is kind of fun. But I want to thank you. You are the first real, just one-on-one interview that I've had on Creative Marketing Show. And I really wanted you to be the first because a lot of feedback inside my membership or just what I get through the DMs, there is this chat about engagement and growth and people aren't seeing my stuff and how do I grow and how do I get people, opting into my email list? What am I going to do? And they get really frustrated. And there's lots of organic opportunities. We know that. But there is this point where we come to, what are we actually investing in our business? And does it have to be hundreds and thousands of dollars? Or is there more strategy that we can bring to it? And so I felt like we're going to have that kind of a conversation. I think I need Luan here because you have so much expertise in this area when it comes to Facebook ad strategy. So welcome. If you could just share a little bit of who you are with your business, outside of your business, who the real Luan is. We'd love to hear a little bit more about you. I'm sure our listeners are very excited to get to know you. So welcome.
Thank you. Oh, amazing. The real Luan. Let's see. Well, I am Luan Jardine. I am a Facebook and Instagram advertising specialist, and I kind of specialize in autopilot marketing strategies. So strategies that you can set up and we'll just do the work for you. It takes a little bit of showing up, but not nearly as much as probably that 7-figure entrepreneur is that you're following on Instagram. But basically, I help changemaker entrepreneurs set up and run Facebook and Instagram ads. I have done for you services, done with you, and a DIY course. But yeah, I am from Kelowna, BC, Canada. My dog just barked.
That's okay.
Okay, you might have heard him.
I'm sure you might. We've both got our dogs here. So if you hear some barking or whining, well, this is what podcasting is like, and it's fabulous. Yeah. We get to be home with our dogs.
He just wants to be included.
Aw. So you're a dog mom.
I am a dog mom. Yeah, and I live in a beautiful, beautiful city. So it's very cold in the winter, but very hot, very, very hot in the summer. Yeah, I grew up in Vancouver, came to Kelowna to go to school at UBC Okanagan, and then I just fell in love with it here. And I live here now with my partner and our dog, and we just bought our dream house last year. So
Oh, that's amazing. I do love Kelowna, and my best friend's out in Kelowna. So next time I'm out there, we got to actually have a face-to-face catch up, which would be so fun.
yes,
And
I
at a
think last
winery,
time,
because that's the most amazing thing about Kelowna is all the wineries.
so many wineries. Yeah, last time you were here, it was like the most snow we've gotten in
Yeah,
so long. Yeah, there
yeah.
was
I
no,
wasn't expecting that. That was ridiculous. I was like, this is not what I asked for. It was unbelievable, actually.
yeah, it was a lot. That was ridiculous. But yeah,
Oh
next time we'll
man.
get a coffee for sure.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so a lot of the listeners of Creative Marketing Show are either startups, small businesses, or some seasoned businesses as well, but they may not have had any experience, or maybe they have and not a very good one in terms of placing ads. So for someone who is a small business and they think they don't need to utilize ads, they're like, no, I don't need them. It's too much money. It's expensive. I don't have the budget for it. What is something that you would advise them on, or just maybe debunk a myth around monetizing some of your content?
Yeah. Well, my first question is, do you have $5 to spend? If
Mm.
the answer is yes, then you have enough money to run ads.
Oh, I
And
love that.
I
That's our
usually
tagline right
do.
there. I love that.
Yeah, it's true. Like you really don't need much money. There's no minimum ad spend that Meta tells you that you need to have. You can spend any amount of money over whatever time frame you want and just hit publish. Like you can do whatever you want. Um, I usually run test campaigns for like $50. Again, not a huge amount of money. Then once I feel good about it or I see a return from it, I add in more dollars to that campaign.
That
Um,
makes sense.
right? And if you have something that you feel confident in and you can have some proof of concept, or if you want to test it using ads, like I say, run with it. If you have $5 to $50, you have enough money to run ads. And other ad strategists will say you need $500
Right.
to test. Um, and I'm sure they have their reasons for saying that, but I'm telling you, I've done it. It works. Like you really don't need that much money to run
I,
ads.
I like what you just said about if you have something that you feel confident in. And I think that's an important thing to remember as well, that anyone who felt like their ads didn't work before, or I know a lot of accounts that have just click that boost post button because it's there, right? And it's kind of like that shiny syndrome, like, oh, if I just spend a little bit and boost it, but without having something clearly, I think having something very, very clear in a strategy wise that you want to promote and put an ad spend behind is kind of half the battle. Like, don't just promote something that is willy-nilly together and there's no real direction or end point.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree. Like you want to the main thing, like I have this program, it's called Dream Audience on Autopilot, and the
Hmm.
whole first phase of the program is getting clear on your goal of your campaign. Because if you
Right.
don't know what you want out of it, then you're not going to get that result. Then you're not going to get any result and you're not going to ever feel like it was successful. So, yeah, you need to be clear on your end goal and really know like what result you want to see from your campaign.
What are some goals that your clients have done, or anything that you've done working with clients? What are some of those goals? Like, what would be an example?
It's usually lead generation for email
Right.
list growth and conversions, like sales, essentially.
Right.
And if you are running a sales campaign, highly recommend running it towards an offer that's under $100 because if it's over, they need time to
They need to,
consider.
to date you a little bit, to get warmed up to you a little bit. I'm glad
Yeah.
that you said that because I think that's where something sometimes gets lost in the shiny object syndrome area, or the flashy vanity metrics, where the goal is, well, I just want to gain more followers. And I think that is something, hey, if you're looking for more followers, you want to put some ad spend behind it, that's completely up to you. But I like that you brought up what those goals should be and clearly defining them, because in the long game, and if you listen to this podcast, I'm all about foundations, baby steps. Playing that long game is going to maximize your efforts and keep you in the game, because otherwise they're just short term, flashy. Oh, I hit this amount of followers. Yeah, but where are you going? What's that journey we're taking them on? So I'm glad that you mentioned that, a lot of those goals are the lead generation, building that email list. I talk about that a lot here. I talk about that with my members. So thank you for clarifying that. I
Yeah, of
appreciate that
course.
honesty.
And I think on Instagram, like only 10% of your followers actually see your content. So
Right?
like you can try to grow that as much as you want, but it's not gonna, that percentage is never gonna really expand.
Right.
So I think it's always best, yeah, to arrive in people's inbox as opposed to just hope they see your Instagram story.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
that is something we hear all the time. Oh, engagement's down and well, the algorithm's changing. Where if you have foundational strategies in your business outside of social media, that again is that long game. That is being able to take your audience on a journey. I always say Instagram is like just a conduit. It's just a connection piece
Yeah.
from a cold audience to hopefully warm them up. I always use my dating analogy that Instagram is just like swiping left, swiping right. When someone can click your link in bio and they come over to your website or they join your list, you're having some coffee, and then that weekly newsletters that you can send out. Any way you can communicate with them outside of social media is you're dating, you're building a relationship, and so that nourishing component is so important. So I love that, connecting those two in terms of then when we're investing money into it, how can we make sure we're making a very good investment? So in terms of, the clients that you've worked with or that you've taught with your programming, what are some of the mistakes that you've noticed that people are making that you've helped correct or that you've just seen from scrolling? Any mistakes that pop up? Do you ever see any ads where you're like, oh, interesting, I would have done it differently? Or any mistakes that hopefully then our audience can avoid?
Yes, definitely, definitely. There's I think we've all seen those Instagram story ads where it's a square and then it has the text underneath that says see more. Like those never
Right,
look good and they
right.
drive me crazy. Like they're so low converting. Instagram story placements are probably the highest performing placement. So like
In stories.
yeah, so take the
Okay, that's good to
time,
know. Yeah.
make it full screen, make it beautiful, really dedicate that time into because people love looking at Instagram stories, so it's going to
Oh
show
yeah.
up in that
That's my
placement a
favorite.
lot.
That's my favorite feature of Instagram. Definitely
Me
stories.
too.
If
Yeah,
I
I'm
eliminated
like
everything else, I just had to show up on stories every day. Sure, I can make that work. No problem. Love it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Same. Like hardly ever am I scrolling. It's usually just through like side to side swiping and Instagram stories.
Right.
Yeah. Or like swiping up when I see an ad that I like. But yeah, definitely like spend the time you need to create a full screen asset for Instagram stories that explains everything someone needs to know in order to swipe up to get on your list or purchase your item.
Right.
So that's like a major, major flaw that I see all the time. And it just like hurts my soul because like don't
Oh,
spend money on something that's not gonna work.
right. And
Yeah.
then they complain after, like, oh no, ads don't work for me.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, yes.
oh,
That happens so much. And it's also that's usually because of tracking issues as well.
oh,
If
interesting.
yeah, because if people are sending you to their website and their website pixel isn't installed and it's not tracking, then yeah, it's going to say you didn't get any leads.
Right.
So you
That
need
I
to make
learned
sure.
that from you well over a year ago. I was like, what's a pixel?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was, that was one of the biggest aha moments and best thing that I could have done. And we probably won't get into, pixels today on this episode. I will interject and just say I have invited and Luan has graciously accepted to come inside the private membership community, creative marketing membership this month in April for a full presentation. So if you're interested about that, make sure you check the show notes, but I'll talk more about that at the end of the episode. So back to some of the mistakes. When it comes to the ads, what do you recommend in terms of video versus static for ads? I didn't really prep you with that question, but that just kind of came into my head. Is one more predominant and more successful typically, or I know they've got to be well put together. What are your thoughts on static versus video?
Well, that's the key right there is well put
Oh,
together.
okay.
So I'd say the thing to keep in mind with advertising is you're giving your money to Meta. They're going to try to make whatever you give them perform because they want more of your money. So it's not like posting on Instagram where you're just like being at mercy to the Instagram algorithm, just hoping that people see it. You're
Right.
paying to have people see it. So Meta's going to try to get you that result. So even if you have like a I don't know, you spent 2 minutes on a piece of content and it doesn't look very good, but you want to put ad spend behind it, you can do that and Meta will try to get you results. But if you do want like the most likelihood for people to see that and want to click on it, definitely recommend testing. So testing static versus video, because you never know what will perform the best. Because like I said, Meta is going to take it and try to get the most result, and then it'll put ad spend behind whatever is getting the most result. And who knows how your audience will react. But
Right.
the thing that I would recommend, and that's performing really well right now, is video talking ads. So
Mm-hmm.
literally set up your like camera, selfie mode, film yourself talking, put captions to it, make it an ad. Like it's going to perform so, so well. Just make sure you have a hook,
Interesting.
a call to action, and make sure the captions are there because so many people don't use audio.
Right. Oh, I'm a big proponent of captions. I talk about that a lot. That's really interesting. And I can understand that because then it also feels, as a consumer and someone scrolling through, I feel like it feels less like an advertisement when it's just someone speaking, and there's more of an opportunity to really connect or just see what that person is about. So that's a really good point. I'm glad that you mentioned that. I want to go back to the A and B testing just to kind of clarify in case anyone listening isn't quite sure what you mean by that. So, the way I'm understanding it, to test would be, like you said, maybe one form is video, one form is a static, and putting the same spend, same details behind both and just measuring what performs better. Would you do that over a week, 2 weeks? What are some thoughts around
I
that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Testing is something that I need to clarify more. So thank you.
Yeah, no,
Um,
no worries. Talk to me like I'm
basically,
5 years old and I'm my 7-year-old son and I'm trying to place an ad.
probably be
Break it
using a different
down.
voice, like my puppy dog voice.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you start
exactly.
like this.
But yes, for testing, basically what I like to do is I set up a campaign. I set up my audience, which is also called an ad set, and then I create multiple ads within that audience. So maybe like between 3 and 5. Maybe one is a static image, a carousel, and one is a video. I put all of those in there and I hit publish. And the way Meta works is it will sprinkle your budget through all of your advertisements. And whoever
Oh,
bites
okay.
first on your advertisement is going to get a little bit more budget, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And then eventually you'll see your budgets all being dedicated towards the highest performing ad. So it kind
Ah,
of does the testing for you.
right. Oh, that's good to know. So that can make it a little bit seamless and less because I think that there's this overwhelm for anyone who's never placed an ad before. So it's pretty well like able to walk you through, right? I mean, I found I'm a fairly good techie person and to navigate it, but I love what we're talking about here too is the strategy is not just throwing spaghetti at the wall and saying, well, I paid for it, so it better do well, unless, and that's where we're able to set our own ad spend, which I
Yeah.
think makes a lot of sense. So, okay, I love that. Um, so how much have Facebook ads changed over the last 2 years or so? Is there anything? I know we're coming out of the big C. Has that shifted anything in terms of paid advertising, or is it pretty just kind of consistent and staying the same, or is there anything that we should be prepared for that is coming up? Just anything that you've noticed?
It's a good question. I was trying to figure out what the big C was for a second, then I was like,
Oh,
oh yeah, that's right. Maybe we're that far past it that it's not
right.
even on my
Oh, we just
radar.
forgotten about it.
Probably not that far past it. Probably should know what that is. Anyway, um, the biggest
I don't
thing
know why
within,
I said the big C. I could have just said COVID, but whatever.
I don't know, maybe you'll get flagged. Who knows? We'll find out.
Right. That's
Um,
it too.
maybe it's explicit. This is fine. We can swear. So
Oh,
I
it's
think we
fine.
should be allowed
Fucking
to say
COVID.
COVID, right? Let's sprinkle it in throughout the episode. I like it.
Perfect.
Um, so all right, changes. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So the past few years, there's been some changes. The biggest one being iOS 14. I think that happened early 2021. So
Hmm.
basically it just like Apple wanted to protect their users, or at least seem like they were. So they had it where you would download an app and it would ask you if it's okay if you're being tracked on that app. So
Right.
Facebook could target you based on your interests, behaviors, and your demographics. And if you say no, then you're not going to be targeted with Facebook ads based on your behavior on that app. So
Gotcha.
yeah, that was something that affected things. And also tracking on websites kind of went downhill a little bit because of iOS 14 as well, because you can't track people. If they do see something, they click on it and they've opted out of tracking, that's not going to be tracked as like a lead or conversion on your website.
Right.
So that was something that was affected, but there's also, I mean, I didn't notice a huge amount of difference in results from it. Like, I don't
Okay,
think
that's
it
good to
was
know.
as big of a problem as everyone was making it out to be.
When that was
And
all
there's
happening, like the first thing that came in my head when they're like, "Oh no, don't do ads." The iOS, I'm like, "This is you're not speaking my language. I don't know what you're talking about." And as a business owner, I just kind of avoided looking at ads in any capacity because I was hearing so much of that. I'm like, I don't understand it, so I'm just going to step away from it. I'm just not going to do it. And then I met you, of course, and so that's definitely helped.
I'm so glad. Um, but yeah, it definitely, like, everyone was panicking so hard.
Yeah.
But before iOS 14 came out and like all of the updates after, the tracking still wasn't great, to be honest.
Oh,
So
okay.
it really didn't change that much.
Right.
And yeah, I think you can still run ads the same way. And just think about how many Android users there are out there.
Right.
That's like those people aren't being affected by this. Maybe there's an Android like update that came out that affects tracking. Haven't looked too deep into it, but there's still so much opportunity. You can still target people that are on computers that aren't using apps. Like, there's still so much opportunity. It really, like, it didn't affect too much. Um, and then the other change is just like the objectives that you get to choose when you set up a campaign. And it actually, I think it's a good thing. It changed for me because I was familiar with the old system.
Right.
And then they brought out a new system and I was like, oh heck, like now I got to learn something new. But it's a lot more simplified now. So
Oh,
if you
okay.
create an ad campaign, you're actually able to see more clearly what objective you should choose and what result you'll get from that.
Oh, what are examples of bleh, what did you say? Objectives. Oh my gosh. Wow.
It's a hard word. I get it.
Oh. Objectives.
um,
Sorry.
that's okay. I would say leads is one. So that would be
Okay.
like getting email subscribers and such. Sales. What are the other ones? Those are like the two I spend my most of my time in. I'm trying
Signups.
to
Is that one as well? Or is that the
that's
same as
that's leads.
that's leads? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna stop myself before I say one that was on the old system because I'm so much
Okay.
more familiar with it.
But
But I
like
would
you
say,
said, like the system is really set up to guide you through and clearly identifies like what your objectives are. Oh, I said it properly. Well, good for
yeah,
me.
good for you.
Okay. Um, so to kind of come full circle in terms of placing ads, what is just one piece of simple advice you would say to someone who's like, I don't get it. What could they do? What's a good place to start?
Um, well, it's like work in a strategy that you feel good about for one.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to do ads if you don't want to. If you do really want to learn more about ads, then a good place to start is just, I don't know, opening up business.facebook.com and going to ads manager and just seeing what it's all about. You don't need to click on anything or run anything. It's just getting familiar.
Yeah.
Um, I also, I mean, shameless plug, I have a free guide if
Oh,
you
this is
want
where
to download
exactly where I
that.
was leading. I was definitely going. I'm like, if you want to actually really learn, I mean, I've learned so much from you, but yes, tell me about your free guide that you have because this is something I encourage everybody. I'm going to drop the links into the show notes, and Luan is on Instagram at Luan Jardine. All of that will be in the show notes. But yeah, tell us about that because I know that that's a great opportunity, especially for anybody just getting started. So what's included?
Yes, well, I have a free guide and a course. So the free guide is basically my entire Facebook and Instagram advertising strategy. So you could download that and just kind of read through it and see what results you could get, what you should use ads for, and then you'll know what goal to have in mind if you do set up a campaign.
Right.
But yeah, I have everything in there from like how to set up your budget to like what you should run ads towards, your goal, your strategy, like everything is in there. I spent a lot of time on this freebie. And then the
Oh, I
course,
have no doubt.
yeah, probably too much time, but it's fine. It's free, so more value for you.
Yep.
Um, and then I have a DIY Facebook ads course that goes through everything. Like, I made
Right.
little videos for every little component in Facebook Ads Manager. So you can like set up a campaign beginning to end and you'll know all of the tech. Like you will be able to do it easy peasy. That's what it is. I was going to say
Easy
easy breezy,
peasy.
but that works too.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, you can tell. I mean, I've we've collaborated before, and I've been on your website, and I've been in a presentation with you as well. And I will tell everyone listening, Luan does not hold back. And that's where I'm so grateful that you're here today. I'm so grateful that you're going to be inside with my members in the community because I know how much value you bring. And so, as you just mentioned, check out the show notes because the Swipe My Ad strategy, that's the freebie. What a great way to get started and get familiar. And then, of course, if you're ready, if you're like, I need to take more action, better strategy, and see more results, I highly encourage you checking out the DIY Facebook ads course. Like you said, walking them through and eliminating just all of that guesswork. Because when we're showing up on social, when we don't have a strategy, I think that's where it starts to get frustrating. And you and I have talked about this before. I've talked about this a lot on the show of just when we're running our businesses, it should be enjoyable. And
Yeah.
social media is a wonderful, wonderful tool, a conduit to help bring people over to our offers, to our websites, to our email list, to our stores, and to our boutiques, our brick and mortar shops, whatever it is. Um, but it starts to become overwhelming. And I think when we don't have a strategy and we don't have clear goals in place, and we're showing up and we're seeing all of this influence and how successful others are doing, or seeing these promises of 50,000 plus months, or how to get to 50,000 followers, how I did that in 3 months, use this trending audio and your account will blow up, like just the clickbait and the crap and filtering through. So I know this doesn't have much to do with ads, but it does, because that's where we can be more intentional with more strategy and feeling really good, and then to be able to put systems in place to walk away and actually work on our business. That has a big effect on even just our mental health and how we want to show up. I know we have these DMs back and forth of like, can we just enjoy what we're doing and can we cut the shit? And I know you're a big proponent of that. So is there anything that you can suggest for someone who uses a lot of strategy in your business, but also still uses social media? Have there been any, you know, things that you've done to help eliminate, staying the course, not getting overwhelmed, not getting down that rabbit hole, not feeling that imposter syndrome, the comparison syndrome? Is there anything that has helped you in terms of, because you're in it, that's a big part of your business, and for me as well. Like, I can't not be on social, but are there anything you can suggest that keep you and not oh, oh my gosh, that's a really bad soundbite.
It's so true. That's like exactly it though. Um, I'd say the things that help me the most is I don't show up when I don't want to show up.
Mhm.
And like I show up a lot on Instagram and I know that, but it's coming from a place of I want to connect, not coming from a place of I have to. So
Right.
I
I
think
think
that
that shows. Like, as a follower of yours, I truly think that shows.
thank you so much. That's
No,
so
like
nice.
100%. And what I've noticed, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but you also, I feel like you're really good at repurposing your message. I'm on your email list. Um, but in a way that it still feels different. Like, your messaging is still so clear and who you are really shines through. And then to see those snippets, like when you show up in stories and even just your posts, like you're so clear with your messaging and get right to the point, but it doesn't feel forced. And when you do show up in stories, I'm like, that just, you look so natural. And I'm like, man, I gotta get out to the mountains. I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to give you that compliment because it does show. So you're definitely doing that right, because it does not come across as uncomfortable, strategized. It feels very natural. And I think that's why I like you.
That's so nice. Thank you so much. My ego's
I
gonna be
need
so
it.
big after this.
If you want your head to explode, just hang out with me and I'll load you with compliments.
Yeah, honestly, we should have these conversations like once a week.
Little hype. Well, actually, on that quick side note, we were just chatting about, when you get really good feedback. What do you call yours? What did you say? The sunshine folder? What did you say?
Sunshine, yeah.
Can you actually? We're kind of going all over the place, but can you share that because I love that, and I do something similar, and I think that that would be valuable for everyone listening to feel really good in what they're doing. So, what's the sunshine? What is it?
Yes.
What did I say? What was it again?
Sunshine folder.
The
It's
sunshine
yeah.
folder. What's your sunshine folder?
So we all know like about social proof, like everyone screenshots results, like amazing results. We share them on our stories. We use them to sell. We feel good when we get them. But then there's those like little encouraging messages that you get from people where they reply back to your email newsletter or they send you a DM about this post and they're like, this is exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you so much for sharing this. Or they say, like, wow, I can't believe like you sent me an email the other day and you were like, I love the way you connected these points. Like this resonated with me. And I like was like plop into my sunshine folder. So basically it's like sunshine for a rainy day. So you can just maybe like you can keep it in your emails in a folder on your phone, but just make sure you're collecting all of this positive feedback that's just for you, not necessarily like social
Yeah.
proof to share.
Yeah. I thought that was so great when you said, "Oh, this is going to my sunshine folder." And like I said, I have a album on my phone, and anytime like an email or a DM, anything like that comes through, I screenshot it and I put it there. And it's used as part of a strategy to put on the website. But then you're right, there's others where they're very, not necessarily personal, but it's almost like, this is for me. Like, I
Yeah.
don't even need to share this. This was for me. And it's that validation because as we were talking before we hit record this morning, woo, I'm dropping my headphones. I'm not going to edit that.
Perfect. I love it. It's
We're gonna keep
natural.
going. I just dropped my headphones. Um, where I was sharing, what was I saying? We were talking about Sunshine Folder. Oh my gosh.
Before this call, we were talking about the email. Is
Oh,
that
it was, I was kind of worried sometimes with the podcast. Like, I bring some information here. Some of this is just my opinion. And I've been anxious sometimes. I'm like, I hope I'm not offending anybody. Like in these days when we put ourselves out there, like, but I have a message that I want to bring and share my own experiences. And sometimes when you don't hear anything, it's not that that's good or bad, but you just don't really know. And in the last week or two, I had told you I had received quite a bit of messages coming through. And I was in tears because it was like, oh, okay, thank you for saying that. Because if I don't hear, I don't know. So when you
yeah.
get those few, even just one is enough. If someone says, oh my gosh, were you in my head? Or wow, I'm so glad you said that because that drives me crazy too. Or this really hit home for me today. Thank you. It's like, okay, thank you. Like that is beyond a compliment. It really does help, you know, that motivation to keep coming back and delivering. So I'm glad you have a sunshine folder and I'm glad we talked about that because I think anyone listening, get yourself a sunshine folder. And to that, I've shared this before on the podcast and with my members is also when can we take an opportunity to make sure we are reaching out to others? We
Yes, be the
can
sunshine.
see, right? We can be the sunshine. We can see the great content and you might be thinking, wow, that was really helpful. Like that really helped me. You can put it in a comment, even going a little step further, like a DM and just saying, I just want you to know this helped me. Thank you.
Hmm.
Like share that gratitude. That's, we forget sometimes the social aspect of social media. It's still there. It's okay to tell someone like you said it and it resonated. And like, it's just such a great feeling. So do more of that because that's what's going to make social media a little bit more enjoyable and less hectic and stressful.
Yes.
Any other ways that you can maintain your mental clarity and peace of mind and no stress when you're using Instagram? Like, do you use timers or do you limit how much you show up? I know you were using the close friends
Mhm.
um, feature as well. Is there anything that you could suggest to keep people from the overwhelm of all the stuff?
Yes. The overwhelm. Well, I'm definitely not like completely innocent. Like when I'm going through launches and stuff, particularly my last one, I put so much pressure on myself to show up. But
Hmm.
it also pushed me to implement a lot of boundaries. So some things that have helped me is I do have a time limit on Instagram. I can't remember what it's set to, but I haven't reached it. It might be like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I don't know.
Mine's
And
15 minutes.
Yours is 15 minutes. Wow, that's really good. No wonder I don't hit
Yeah.
mine.
When you said 2 hours, I'm like, wow. Yeah, I have mine for 15. Completely guilty. I'm the type to go like, yeah,
Yeah.
remind me again in 15 more minutes. But I will say 15 minutes. It is nice to see it in that block because all of a sudden 15 minutes is a half an hour.
Yeah.
Half an hour is 45 minutes, and then it's an hour. It's like that time. I'm the same, like timer, because I need those reminders of like, really, what did you do in the last 15 minutes? Did you actually, was this for you? Were you putting this stuff out there, or were you consuming? Creating or
Yeah.
consuming? Creating or consuming? Um, but that's good. Maybe you might want to adjust your timer a little bit.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm actually thinking about that. But I'm also like when I'm on Instagram, I try to only focus on things that I enjoy seeing. So
Right,
Instagram algorithm, it is nice in a way because it shows you the content that you've been creeping the most. So
right.
usually it's just like the first few posts on my feed, and I look at people's Instagram stories and I'm like, okay, I'm done. And
Yeah.
then I carry on with my day. I'll check my DMs every now and again, just to make sure there's nothing in there. But that's been helpful for me. And I also have been putting my phone on airplane mode and putting it in my office overnight, which was like years
Oh,
goals to do that. And I finally did it. And I've continued it since my launch in February.
that's amazing. That's not easy. And I've spoken with people who do the same, and they're like, it does wonders because it
Yeah.
eliminates that, before bed, consuming just all the stuff. And then I've been much better where I don't get on any apps until I've had at least a cup of coffee. So I've like awakened to other things. I am not a regular routine morning person. So I can't say like, I do my meditation first and then I journal. I don't. I get coffee. That's what I do first. I have been trying to at least read something or write before opening up any social media. It's not always the case,
Yeah.
but the mornings that are like that are certainly way more enjoyable. But oh, I don't. I'm gonna have to try that of like putting the phone in a different room.
It's hard. Like the self-control is hard. Sometimes I like put it on airplane mode and like give it to my partner and I'm like, hide this from me. Which is also
Interesting.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. I took a vacation with my family in February. We went down to Cocoa Beach, Florida, and I worked my buns off in order to be able to put everything on out of office. I had my out of office in place. I even used the saved reply with Instagram. So if anybody even sent me a DM, I'm like, I'm off social. And it was actually pretty easy. It was more the email I checked. I tried to just check in once midweek just to like, I don't have a virtual assistant or anyone helping. So I'm like, I'm accountable. So I'll check in halfway through. But I had all my posts scheduled. I launched this podcast while I was on Cocoa Beach on vacation.
Yeah. So
And
impressive.
but it's funny though, because people are like, you have to like be present and be available. I was sitting on a beach, it launched, everything came out. I came back to like here, oh, congrats, thanks. Like it was 5 days later, but I didn't feel I could have changed the date to launch, but I wanted it to launch. I didn't want to sit on it anymore. And I didn't want to have that excuse, well, I'm in Florida and then I'm gonna have to be on. No, I just did it. And you know what? Did it hurt it? Did it help it? I don't know. I got it out there. People seem to like it, but uh, it was such an eye-opening experience to, I didn't go on Facebook, I didn't go on Instagram, I didn't go on anything. It was off the phone. And naturally, I didn't do this on purpose. I don't know where it came from. The entire trip, I would say, oh, can you pass me my camera? I called my phone my camera the entire trip. I didn't call it a phone, I called it a camera. Because that's the only reason why I had it with me was to blast background music on the beach and to take pictures of my family. And it was, yeah, through halfway through the trip, I'm like, oh, I keep calling it a camera. That's so funny. But I realized that was probably really important to look at as that's the tool. That's the only purpose that it's serving this trip, not to be connected to anybody else. And it was just really rewarding. And so I guess my point to that is wherever you can eliminate it, using it as a tool for your business, but taking those breaks. And I know there's a social aspect to it, when it's after whatever time of the day you wrap up for work, there's that kind of connection and looking at the fun. Trust me, I love looking at any video of people scaring the shit out of people. If you find funny videos of people getting scared, send them to me in my DMs. I love them.
That's
It
so
makes me really
interesting.
it makes me really excited, and like nothing makes me laugh harder than watching someone get completely like terrified. I don't know, I'm sick. I don't know. I don't know if I should admit this, but it's just so funny. Anyway, and these scare pranks that people are like doing to their husbands where they pretend like something's like on the floor and they're anyway, it's a vibe.
That's so
Um
funny.
I'm such a loser. But taking those breaks, even if you're not on vacation, if you can take a weekend and just put it away and be off of it, I don't know that it's so important because I know after that vacation, I felt so much more connected to my husband and certainly to my son. We had so much real connection, and I'm very close with my son, but there was just that extra like we played, like we really played. And I was wet hair mom. Like, I don't like getting my hair wet, but Finnegan's like, are you going to get your hair wet while we swim? Like, yeah, I'm going to get my hair wet. Like, it was nice to just, I don't know, more present. And so that's something I definitely would love to try to do a lot more often, whether I'm on vacation or not. So I think we do need those breaks. And if you
Yeah.
have an ad strategy in place and it's running for you, then you don't have to be on the app as much. So this is where this episode kind of comes full circle, I think.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's so beautiful. That's so true. Yeah. If you have ads running to like grow your email list, sell whatever low ticket offer, then yeah, you can take time off, close your phone, delete Instagram. Like everything will be fine. No emergencies will happen.
Yeah.
And if something happens, people will get in contact with you, and it doesn't need to be through Instagram. Like everything will be fine.
Yeah. And I think especially for business owners, I heard this quote. I can't tell you where I heard it, but it was someone else's emergency is not your urgency, or someone else's urgency is not your emergency.
Yeah.
And we're in this fast-paced world where it's like we can get back to people really, really quickly. And you had mentioned earlier about boundaries too. Like you can be very clear with people. Like you need to connect with me, please do so via email, not through DMs. I've seen in people's profiles where they're like, no messages in DMs, like no orders through DMs. Like you've got to go through the certain way. So I think that's also part of some strategies of setting those boundaries and being okay to keep them in place. Because we don't want it to run our business. We are running our business.
Yes, we get to decide, not the app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate your expertise, your insights. I just appreciate you. You've always been so honest and you've got such integrity. And I'm really grateful that you're the first one-on-one interview. And I hope that people will connect with you. Where can people connect with you on Instagram and your website? And just remind us how they can get your swipe up, your swipe my ad strategy and your DIY Facebook ads course details.
Yes. Okay. So you can find me on Instagram at Luan Jardine. It'll probably be in the show notes. My name is confusing to spell. And my website is luanjardine.com. And the swipe my Facebook ad strategy, I believe, show notes as well. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
I'll put all those links for sure.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So swipe my ad strategy is completely free. So definitely recommend downloading it, reading through it. Like this is I did a masterclass on strategy in January, and this is like a Cole's Notes version of that. So take
Ooh.
advantage of it while it's out there. And then my DIY Facebook ads course, it's like $297. I tried to make it as affordable as possible so you could learn a skill that you can keep coming back to and you can monetize if you're a service provider. So you'll learn
That's
everything
amazing.
that you need to know with
Yeah.
advertising. Yeah.
And I want to share with everybody, I know I mentioned it earlier in the episode, Luan will be joining the Creative Marketing membership for a workshop. It is a members only event. If you are interested in participating, all you have to do is become a member. So those details are always in the show notes as well, or at angelasdoyon.com. It's $27 a month. Cancel anytime. Come see what we're all about. The pricing will go up. Just saying, I've put it out there. If you're on my list, you know it's going to be going up soon. So take advantage. Going into April 13th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time will be the workshop with Luan. I'm so excited for it. The members are excited for it. So if you'd like a seat at that workshop, check the details in my link in bio as well. But right now, we're going to wrap up. I want you to head over and follow Luan on Instagram and go get that freebie and go get the course. Damn, just figure it out. Go through it and figure it out.
Yeah, hell yeah. And let me know if you have any questions because I'm here for you. And like I said, I have a 2-hour limit on Instagram, so I'm on there all the time.
I love that. Amazing. Thank you so much, Luann. I really appreciate your time today, and I know the audience will as well.
Of course, I'm so happy to have been on. This is such a fun conversation.
You're the best.
You're the best.
I want to thank Luan Jardine once again for joining me today and thanking you for forgiving me for my poor audio. Again, I wasn't going to go back and re-record that interview. It was such a great conversation, and sometimes the tech things happen, but let's not let that stop us from getting out the message. Thank you again for tuning in. As I mentioned, if you would like to join the live training with Luan Jardine, all about getting started with Facebook ads and the strategy behind it, you're welcome to come inside the Creative Marketing membership. Her live workshop is taking place on Thursday, April 13th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will drop the link in the show notes where you can join the membership and make sure you're part of that workshop. Until next time, I look forward to being back here on the Creative Marketing Show. Have a great week.